Welcome to the Finance Marketing Podcast, a show that empowers finance professionals to market their businesses in ways that feel good and actually achieve results. I'm your host, Hillary. I've been working with folks in financial services to develop marketing strategies that work and create results-oriented marketing content since 2020. And I've learned a lot about what works in finance marketing, what doesn't work, and where financial services pros get stuck. Join us each Friday as we explore real, effective ways to market your finance business and connect with folks who truly embody your ideal clients. My guest this week is Matt Halloran, your friendly neighborhood podcasting and influence expert, co-founder of ProudMouth, and host of the Top Advisor Marketing Podcast. If you're not already familiar with Matt, you are in for a real treat. Now, Matt hosts the most popular financial advisor marketing podcast available today, so you can imagine how much I fangirled when he agreed to come on the show and chat with me all about podcasting. In this conversation, we're chatting about the benefits of podcasting, the role that podcasts can play in your marketing ecosystem, and how podcasting has become more accessible to more people over the past few years. And Matt really emphasizes how podcasting is a uniquely intimate medium, allowing financial advisors and other finance pros to connect with their audience in really personal ways. And it's this intimacy that helps build trust and rapport with listeners, making podcast a very powerful tool for relationship building and establishing expertise. Additionally, Matt shares what you really need and don't need to produce a high-quality podcast as a finance professional. So if podcasting is something that you've been interested in or thinking about, this episode is a must-listen, and I'm really excited for you to hear it. So let's dive in. All right. Well, thank you so much, Matt, for joining me on this episode of the Finance Marketing Podcast. I am so excited to have you here today. How are you?
I'm well. I'm looking forward to this. We're one of the things that I think everybody should hear about podcasters is we love being on other people's podcasts, and we do podcast swaps all the time. We were just talking that, we're recording the show for the Top Advisor Marketing Podcast tomorrow. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to flipping the script on you a little bit there, sister, because I'm much more comfortable interviewing people than I am being interviewed.
I feel the exact same way. So I'm glad that I get to go first. This is fun for me. Well, Matt, you are very, very well known in the advisor marketing space, but I also have a lot of listeners who are financial coaches and financial therapists who may not be as familiar. So I would love if you could start by telling us a little bit about who you are and what it is you do.
Well, I actually was a therapist. So I began my professional career as a therapist. I have my master's degree as a therapist and as a life coach. One of the only universities in the United States that actually offered that program. And in fact, they don't actually offer it anymore. So I was a life coach and a therapist for many, many years. And I ended up not being great at the whole therapy thing, mostly just because I had a really hard time letting it go. And I know that your listeners will totally understand that. People just dump their horribleness on you all day long, and it's hard to let that go. So then I cut my teeth in financial services in 2006. I worked for a company called Carson. Actually, back then it was called Peak. Now it's called Carson Consulting. And I probably coached and consulted about 1,000 advising offices over my time there. And then I had my own private firm after that. And about 7 years ago, I met this crazy Canadian guy, and he and I just really, really hit it off. Their personalities were perfect. Him and I joke that, he completes me and I complete him. He loves to do all of the stuff in business that I don't, and I love to do all of the stuff in business that he doesn't. And so we are really, truly a match made in heaven. And we started ProudMouth, and we are now the largest podcasting company for financial advisors in North America. And we've done about 8,000 episodes and about 85,000 social media posts in financial services. We do work with people who provide services to financial advisors too.
Wow. Okay, wonderful. Well, let's talk about podcasting, because I have lots of clients and connections who are interested in podcasting. So I would love to hear your perspective. What makes podcasting such a great outlet and way to market themselves for financial services professionals?
Yeah. Well, I think there's two major things. Number one, it's magnificently intimate, right? So people listen to podcasts in their downtime. when they're exercising, getting ready for work in the morning, when they're cooking dinner, when they're, driving around in their car, whether that's a commute and or when they're exercising, right? And so we know that we have a different level of attention, audio only. Now, as you know, most people are going to video podcasts because YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. So
Mm.
your podcast does have to be there. It's also the second largest podcast player in the world. Most people don't watch the video, just to be clear, but they definitely like kind of glancing at it while it's on their second screen. So I think it's a really, really intimate way to build relationships with people. And most importantly, when it's convenient for them. Right. So
Mm.
in financial services, we're always like, well, come to my seminar, or I'm going to do a conference call or whatever. And it's just not how the world works anymore. I think this is probably the best way to do that. And then number two, people need to know what's in your brain, everybody. Like your financial advice, financial therapy, financial coach has been gate capped unbelievably. Well, if you don't have $250,000 in investable assets, I'm not going to talk to you. Well, okay, well, that's not the world we live in anymore.
Right.
This gives you an opportunity to really highlight your expertise and build your expertise, what we refer to as influence at scale. Right. So you are going to be able to hit people from all over the world. Now, you're not going to get tens of thousands of downloads, just be understanding. But you are going to be able to impact the people who listen. And then that actually creates what we refer to as momentum marketing. And then over time, it just becomes effortless and easy. And more people are going to become fans so
Mm-hmm.
that they're going to share your stuff.
Okay, that's great. And I have so many things I want to talk about. I don't even know exactly where to start with it. But one thing that was coming to mind, it's a really intimate way. You were saying it's a really intimate way to kind of get in front of your audience. They get to see your face or hear your voice or both if they're watching the video. And I have found from the creator side as well, and this is coming from someone who is a writer and who loves writing. I also just find podcasting, guesting on other people's podcasts, and being the host of my own 2 podcasts, it's also a much easier way for me to show up consistently as well. And I'm wondering if that's what you've seen a lot of your clients have as well.
Well, it is a discipline that you have to build. It is something that you need to build into your weekly, monthly, whatever schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really important. Um, also, what I think a lot of people think is that they have to talk for 30 minutes straight, which, by the way, nobody wants to listen to that. And so the reason why your podcast is successful and our podcast is successful is because you and I interview other people.
Mm-hmm.
There's a contrast of voices there. There's 2 different perspectives. You still get to sprinkle your brilliance into the show while still highlighting the guest. So we know, I mean, if you really look at the top podcasts in the world, if you look at like Ologies by Ali Ward, which, by the way, if you're not listening to that, you have to be listening. It's the #1 science podcast in the world. And she's always interviewing these unbelievably brilliant people, and then she sprinkles the alliness all over that show. There's other ones, like This American Life is still one of the greatest shows that has ever been written. But it's always based on contrasting voices, and that's really, really important to do. The other thing, too, is that content begets content. So you and I are going to do this show, and I'm going to leave this thinking about something, because I know you. And I'm probably going to go ahead and talk to my social media team that we either need to do a podcast about this or we need to do social media posts about what you and I talk about today. Because when you feel that somebody's listening to you, your brain actually files that in a different area than you just like screaming into the void.
Oh, that's so interesting. I'm so curious if that comes from your background in therapy or if that's something you've learned over podcasting.
Yeah, so my master's thesis was on actually reduction of auditory hallucinations with people who suffer from schizophrenia. So how brains categorized and filed and prioritized information was very important, because when you're working with people who suffer from schizophrenia, especially auditory hallucinations, it doesn't file the same way. It's actually not actually filed, it's just on. But there are some really magnificent studies out there that really do talk about, like, if you lie, how your brain files that, or if somebody is actively listening and showing you that they're paying attention, if you're talking to a loved one versus somebody you don't know. so there's lots of wonderful research about that. But I really do think that the power of what a great podcast shows is that not only are you listening to the guest, but you're listening to your audience.
Absolutely. Well, I had another question, but let's talk about that really quick. How do you listen to your audience when you're a podcaster?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't want to do this work, sister. This is part of the issue. So we have a very, very strong social media presence. And so we promote our show not exclusively, mainly on LinkedIn, because our ideal target market are independent financial advisors. And they're not really huge on Instagram. Younger ones are, yes. And so we do have an Instagram presence. We have a Facebook presence. We have a Twitter presence. Then we have a LinkedIn presence. But we really pay close attention. So when somebody says, hey, I really liked that episode, we go back generally privately and we'll ask what they liked about it. Because I want to know that feedback so that we can show that we're listening. One of the things that we also do, not just from a podcast, but from a content creation standpoint, is we have a woman on our team. Her name is Jessica. She's like the biggest gift. And one of the things that she does, she goes back every week and looks back on which posts performed the best and uses those posts to create more posts. And when I said content begets content, I cannot stress that enough. We have something called the atomic content method that really is a structure surrounding this. But I'm telling you, if you show that you're listening, you can actually track, because we track it over time. And if I repost something that got 4,000 impressions last week, it's going to get 4,000 or 5,000 impressions this week, which pleases the algorithm, which means our stuff shows up more in people's feeds.
Well, I just love this notion of content begets content. And this is what I love about podcasting too, is, it's easier for me to commit to having conversations with people because it's on my calendar rather than writing a blog post every week. It's so easy for me to push that off week after week after week, right? But I also have found, like you said, having these conversations with people, it just makes it so much easier to show up on social media. It makes it so much easier to send emails to my email list because not only is the content already there, but it's sparked other perspectives that I never would have thought about. And so it just makes all content creation so much easier.
Well, you said something there that I really want to highlight that I don't think people understand the power of. So I'm going to be on your show. You're going to post this on social. You're going to tag me in that post. So you just got access to potentially 100,000 people, right, which is the size of our network at ProudMouth. That's really good business for you, right? That's really good exposure. And here I'm do it all day long, sister, because you know what? We were have this shared experience, and I absolutely want you to do that. Because guess what? I'm going to do the same thing. Right. I don't know all of the people that you know, so I want to tag you and stuff. And then so I take it one step further. So when I am on, we call these OPPs, other people's podcasts. When I'm on an OPP, one of the things that I'll do is after you post and tag me in it, whoever is liking or commenting, I immediately send them, and it's actually me. I will send you a connection request just so everybody knows. Because listen, if you liked this content, then you probably would follow me. And I'm always trying to grow my network. I'm always trying to be able to get this voice, this message out to more and more people, especially in financial services, regardless if you are a direct financial advisor or if you're somebody who works in the financial services industry. I want you to know about podcasting. I want you to know about content creation. I want you to know about atomic content method. I want you to know about our principles of influence, all of the things that we teach at ProudMouth. And you're giving me access to your audience, which, and you know this, I'm very grateful for.
Oh, well, I feel exactly the same way. I'm also very grateful. Your audience is a lot bigger than mine right now. So
now, I've been doing this for a long time, sister. I just got my 15 year Twitter anniversary. Twitter told me, and it was really funny because it was from Twitter. I was like, come on, guys, get your brand straight. Right. But we're not going to dive into that today. So I've been doing this for a really, really long time. I was a very early adopter to social, and it is a compounding effect, right? You keep doing things that people like, and you keep growing your audience. So.
Well, actually, that I would love to talk about what you've seen change in podcasting over the years, because I think, especially post 2020, I think podcasting has probably become a lot easier than it used to be. And a lot of people, they look at podcasting and they say, or they think to themselves, oh, it's going to be so much equipment that I have to buy. Like, I have to worry about sound quality and all these things. But I actually think that podcasting has gotten a lot easier. So can you kind of talk about how it's changed a little bit and how much more accessible it might be these days?
Yeah, I think people really, so when when Kirk and I started the Top Advisor Marketing Podcast, which we're almost 500 episodes in now, we did on Skype. It was audio only. And I remember one of our first guests was sitting in her closet with a towel over her head,
Yes.
making sure that the sound was perfect. And the reason why is she had a crappy mic, right? So the technology behind podcasting is it's ubiquitous, right? So many people started podcasts and then they quit, which we call pod fade, but it's a real thing. Listen, you need to buy, and I'm just telling you guys what to buy. You need to buy a directional condenser microphone, right? And if you do that, I'm going to do kind of a live example. And if you're only listening to this, you'll hear it too. So as I talk, if I move the microphone away, right, you can't hardly hear me at all. And so I don't have to soundproof my room. Software like this, Riverside.fm, has made podcasting very, very easy. Companies like Blueberry give you the opportunity to syndicate to every single solitary major podcasting platform, even ones you don't know about. And so it is a lot simpler. But there has been some squishiness that I don't like. And I'm actually going to take issue with something that you said, if you don't mind.
Please.
Which, when you are podcasting, even if you have a video podcast, your audio has to be great. It really, really does. Because if we don't have the visual stimulus that you and I have right now looking at each other, and if it's only audio, if there are clicks in the background, or if you and I are always talking over ourselves, or if I can hear somebody mowing in the background, or my microphone stinks so you can like hear me breathing. I mean, all of those sorts of things. And you don't do anything in post-production, like if audio levels are jacked up, right? So there's little things like that I think are really, really important. But here's the good side, the flip side of that is, for free, you can download a program called Audacity and fix every single solitary one of those problems for no money at all. And then your podcast is going to sound great. The other big thing that has changed, I think, in the world of podcasting is people have gotten away from understanding that there's research behind why it should be 30 minutes or less. People are trying to go really long with their shows. They think that people love 90-minute shows. They don't. We know that. The Triton, which is the big research company in podcasting, has consistently said that 27 minutes is the ideal podcast length. And then there's all sorts of supporting evidence why. So I want you to keep it to a tight 30, mostly because we know that people don't leave, and rarely they come back, by the way. But two, that's what we know the audience wants. And so if you serve up great content in the format that they want it while they're there and the time they have, more people are going to listen.
Yeah. And I've also found, this is something that my podcast host and I have wrestled with. We started our podcast. We're coming up on our year anniversary. And in the beginning, we were really shooting for those kind of 45-minute episodes, which in the past 6 months or so, we've really shied away from. And it's been amazing how many more downloads we get per episode now that we're sticking to 20-30 minutes tops, which is really, it's just a stark difference. And some of that, of course, could be attributed to the fact that we've only been podcasting for a year, and you're going to see, right? So it's hard to draw hard conclusions, but we also found that it's so much easier to record more content and to create more content, and you can post more frequently when you're not worried about recording these 45-minute to hour to 90-minute episodes, right? It's actually like, it's kind of better for everybody, actually, when you post shorter episodes.
Well, we implemented YouTube Shorts about 7-8 months ago. It's unbelievable how many people just listen to a 60-second bit. And I think TikTok really, was Vine before that, really showed the power of short, succinct content, which in the world of marketing, you create bite-sized bits of content, and then hopefully people will want more, and then they opt into your longer form content, which means that they're actually, instead of you just trying to cram, long form content down somebody's throat, what that gives you is it's like, holding hands with somebody as you're walking down the street before you try to kiss them. I know that's not the greatest analogy, but it's like a lot of podcasters think that, you subscribe to my show, we're married. No. You're not even dating yet. Right. And so you really do need to understand that it is a long play. We talk about this. My partner, Kirk, and I talk about this all the time. This is slow marketing. Or compound or momentum marketing. We actually use all three of those words pretty interchangeably. But if you're a foodie, because I am, and I have the figure to prove it, slow cooked food's amazing. It's always better. There's more flavors there. Everything really comes out. Your marketing needs to be the same way. You've been doing this for a year. You have to be doing it 18 to 24 months before you're really going to see a huge increase in revenue, new clients, new centers of relation, whatever you want to look for in your show. But if you think you're going to do 2 or 3 episodes and you're going to be the next Joe Rogan, God, I hate using him as an example, but Joe Rogan, you're wrong and you have unrealistic expectations.
Absolutely. I always tell my clients, whether it's a podcast or a YouTube channel or a blog or whatever their long form content is, that's not enough, right? You have to have the bite-sized pieces. I also say you have to have the emails and the newsletters to push it out to your client list and anyone else who might be on your email list who's not a client yet. You got to keep putting it in front of people's eyes to develop that relationship. I mean, I can't tell you how many podcasts I'm subscribed to that I've never even listened to, that I have intentions of listening to. But will that happen? We don't know. We're busy.
You are busy. You've got a lot of stuff going on. Well, so there's one thing too that you said there that my partner Kirk always wants me to say anytime I'm on another person's podcast, and you totally teed me up for it, so I'm totally walking into this. When you post on social media, you're renting that audience. So no matter what your content is, you have to have a funnel, a sequence to get them into your CRM. Right? Your contact relationship manager, whatever you want to call it. You have to be able to do that because like right now we have a very, very large social audience. I don't own those people, and owned specifically means that I have their cell phone number, their landline, which not very many people have anymore, and their email address, right? I mean, gosh, if you have mailing addresses, then, but that's a component that I think a lot of people don't pay as close attention to. Is they're like, oh, well, I've got 64,000 people on Twitter that, follow me. I don't know who those people, most of them, by the way, my posts don't show up. Right. But I don't own that audience. So you have to have a way to pull them from social into your prospect pipeline because we're marketing to grow our businesses. That's what we're doing. But a lot of people miss that step.
I could not agree more. And I just kind of want to highlight, and I hope you'll agree with me why that is. And I can think of a few examples. Number one, when Twitter turned to X, there was a period of months there where I think everyone was kind of wondering, what's going to happen to Twitter or X, right? It was kind of like if your entire audience lives on Twitter and Twitter suddenly goes away or just totally changes, that's not good. And then the other example that comes to mind is actually on LinkedIn. Your primary audience is on LinkedIn. My primary audience is on LinkedIn. LinkedIn will go down for hours at a time or for even a day, and it will be glitchy and there won't be a way to connect with your audience. And so those are the two reasons that kind of stick out to me. I'm wondering if you have any others.
Well, you're spot on. The other thing that happens too, and I've actually seen you post about this, we call it pleasing the algorithm. And you have to understand what algorithmically all the social media platforms are looking for from a content perspective. We were hitting really good numbers, right? For, I don't know, it was probably early this year, right? So December, January, we were just killing it on social. I was getting people scheduling appointments with me and it was absolutely fantastic. February hit, they tweaked something in the algorithm. I went from 3,000 impressions to 300. And so that's why getting people into your funnel is so incredibly important because you are beholden to those social media platforms. And I don't know about you, but I like them. I use them. I love the benefits that they give, but I also want more control over it. And yeah, they glitch out all the time. I have a friend of mine who is he's not aggressive, he's just prolific. And every once in a while, LinkedIn just shuts him down. He was shut down for a month. Now, and that's his marketing channel, right? And so he was like, dude, I'm frozen. What am I supposed to do? I was like, I don't keep petitioning to get your account back open. But that doesn't happen with your CRM, right? I own my CRM. I own that information in there. So yeah, I agree.
Okay. Well, last question for you. What advice do you have for somebody who is really interested in podcasting, but doesn't really know where to start?
Okay, this is going to sound shameless, but it's really not intended to. This is actually why we built this. So we actually built something called the PodRocket Influence Academy, and you can join right now for free and take Podcasting 101. Every single solitary thing that you need to know is there. I built the course. It's built off of all of what we've learned here at ProudMouth, producing all the episodes that we have. Please, please, please go there. It's free. I'm not going to hawk you stuff. Now, are you in my system? Yes, you are. But seriously, just take Podcasting 101, everything you need to know, for everything from microphone to microphone use to players to platforms to editing to cover art, all of the things that you need to know in order for you to execute a podcast. And there are a lot of things. You need to have your, description of your show. And then you have to have the summary of the show. Then you have to have the cover art. You have to have an intro and an outro and all of this. And I'm not trying to do that to scare you. I just want you to know that there's a freaking checklist in our PodRocket Influence Academy, and you just follow the bouncing ball. Okay, got my intro done. I went to Fiverr and I got somebody to do the voiceover. I went to, musicclips.com. I can't remember which one we're using currently, to get my music that I can use, because man, the last thing you need to do is to get, an audio clip that you don't have the rights to, because Spotify will shut you out, and they'll shut you out. You're done. Right. And so there are a lot of checks and balances there, but we have all of these wonderful pieces of information for free in the PodRocket Influence Academy. So I think you really should go there. And it's also built for highly regulated environments, which we all live in, so that you're not going to do something stupid and get yourself in trouble.
I love that so much. I cannot endorse it enough. You absolutely want to be in Matt's system. Absolutely. So that's great. Now, is that just for financial advisors, or can any financial services folks or people like me?
Yeah. In fact, any. I mean, I specifically referred to it as highly regulated environments, because we have attorneys now who are actually in the academy. I've got physicians, nurses, chiropractors, all of them are highly regulated. So they have to make sure there's the compliance oversight. Now, we're just very, very familiar in financial services. We understand your language, so we're going to be speaking your language a little bit more. But if you're a financial therapist, if you're a financial coach, if you're a financial advisor, or anybody who provides services to financial service, money managers, fintech, martech, all of that stuff is covered in our academy, because we specialize in working in financial services. We made that conscious choice that was going to be our specific niche within our marketing agency that we've built. And so, yes, so anybody who's listening to the show, if you want to start a podcast, we've got wonderful free resources.
Amazing. Well, I will link to it in the show notes. And then, Matt, where else can people find you?
LinkedIn. Find me on LinkedIn. Like, I'm there all the time. I actually spend a lot of time on there, mostly because I literally wrote the book on social media for financial services called The Social Media Handbook for Financial Advisors. And one of the first parts of that book is to really talk about how important the social component is. Most of what people are doing, and Hillary, this drives me insane, is they're just screaming their message out on social, and they're not listening. They're not showing that they're listening. The only way you can show you're listening is interacting with the posts. So, and if you direct message me on LinkedIn, I am the person who answers those, right? Same thing with X or Twitter. If you message me through those platforms, I will absolutely answer you, because I like people. I know that sounds corny, but I do. And I want to know what you all want to hear from us, or if you want to have time to ask me questions. I set time aside every week to be able to just be kind of open and available, so that I can answer any questions people have, and not necessarily just about podcasting, but influence, content marketing, I just had a conversation with somebody about speaking, because I do a lot of public speaking. And so they wanted to know some things like that. So please just, follow me on LinkedIn. And I know that you'll put that link in the
I
show notes
absolutely
too.
will. Well, thank you so much, Matt. This has been such a wonderful conversation. I feel like I could have talked to you for another 90 minutes, but we're trying not to do that. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Finance Marketing Podcast. If you're eager to market your business in a way that feels good and actually gets results, sign up for the Finance Marketing Podcast newsletter in the show notes so you never miss another episode. If you liked what you heard today, please be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite listening app and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you back here next Friday.